You talk about a $1 trillion profit over the last decade for some of the biggest banks. How did they do it?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. So $1 trillion in profit, right, is unfathomably large. And when you think about the past decade, it's really, been all about tech, but the banks have been just these engines of profit. Very few companies actually made more over the last decade in profit than these firms. And there's not one kind of thread. It's more a series of threads. I mean, there are different, if you look at the volatility during COVID and the trading profits that led to, and also the deal boom and things like that, and also the Trump tax cuts gave it a big boost.
Yeah. Hannah, I love the sort of first line. And what's so beautifully written often about these big takes is you take an individual's take for the start. And it's all about Malik Diop, who joined Morgan Stanley back in 2009. And we all remember those days. And just basically how you were probably... you were trash talked at any drinks party you went to. You were trash talked by politicians. That's still happening a little bit. But since 2009, into the world of 2019, 2020, people got their mojo back when it came to banking. And in particular, Malik Diop made managing director, and he was doing a lot of deals. Is this, when we think about the future of banking, and whether these $1 trillion worth of profits are here to stay, does it matter that SPACs are sort of fading and that deal making at the moment has been, well, thin to none?
That's a very interesting question, because I think that if you just look at how the banks got there over this past decade, they have navigated through multiple administrations, through all sorts of scenarios that no one would have expected, and they made even more profit. So, I mean, they're just so big that I don't think it's not that any one thing, save for a really deep recession, is moving the needle there as far as profitability.
So, Hannah, I'm just looking at your story, and it's really not just Wall Street per se. It's really the top 6 banks you guys focus on: J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley. Let's take a look at J.P. Morgan, because they have a consumer bank, they have an investment bank, they kind of do everything. Is that kind of the prototypical bank for you?
Yeah, so I'm a little biased because I cover them very closely, but I think that they are, a really good way to see kind of the overarching trends is to look at JP Morgan, right? Because they're massive on Main Street and they're massive on Wall Street. So then you think about, a Wells Fargo that's more weighted toward consumer, Goldman, Morgan Stanley more weighted toward the Wall Street operations, but JP Morgan does both. So you can look at, where they were making more over this decade, and it really has been 50-50 as far as consumer being, the biggest profit engine, or the investment bank. And I think that that's, a really interesting way of looking at kind of all the different ways that banks make money.